And then you just tell them, yeah, it's 1750. Like, oh, dude, that's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Crazy
Yeah.
expensive. Because you have no idea at this point in the call what you're buying for 1750. Right?
Right.
Hey, Robbie, let me ask you a question. If I said, would you like to buy this $1 Amazon pen for 1750 today? You tell me no. You tell me to kick rocks. But if
Yeah.
I said, hey, Robbie, I have a brand new McLaren in the garage that is picked up for 170K. I'll sell it to you today for 1750. Would you do it? Of course you would. It's still the same 1750. The only thing
Right.
that changed was it was attached to a pen versus a McLaren. And when
Right.
value exceeds cost, people buy. That's just human psychology and how we make buying decisions. Right
Yeah.
now, you don't know anything about my program. So, of course, you shouldn't buy it. Of course, it's expensive. But if you give me a couple minutes to ask you a few more questions to make sure this is even a good fit, right? I want to make sure I can help you. And then you
Yeah.
give me a few minutes to walk you through the program. I promise you at the end of this call, you'll be running to grab your credit card, begging me to take your money. Most, if not all, objections can be prevented before they ever become objections. So I want to preface that because as you guys are giving me objections, the chances are, like, if it was my sales call, I would have already pre-handled this during the discovery portion of my call by asking better questions and digging deep and uncovering all of these things. But let's say that we miss something, whatever, we get to the end of the call, we have an objection. There's a couple principles that I use to objection handle. How many of you guys, just by visibly show of hands, have you gotten an objection on a sales call? You handle it, you're all excited, and then they just pop up another objection. And you're like, oh, that definitely happened to me. Right? You're like, yes, I handled it. And they're like, but my husband. And then we get past the husband, they're like, but the timing. And you're like, it's like whack-a-mole with objections, right? So one of my principles of objection handling is before I like spend the time to dig deep into handling one objection, I want to make sure it's the only objection. Because most of the time, we're not even handling the actual objection. We're just handling the first thing that came out of their mouth. And then we jump in, we start doing all these ninja objection handling tactics, and then they just pop up another one and another one and another one. So, rule of thumb number one, isolate that this is indeed the only objection that's on the table. If it's not the only objection, there's no point to handle it because there's just going to be more stuff that they're going to pop up later. Right. Principle number two is when we're objection handling, it shouldn't be like this, where we're kind of butting heads and we're going back and forth. It should be us walking around to the other side of the table and sitting side by side with our arm around our prospect, and we're figuring it out together. So often, because I have like 75, maybe 78 active one on one clients right now, and I review hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calls every couple months with my clients. So often they pop up an objection, which is kind of fire, and then they pop up a response that's more fire, and we're just fighting fire with fire. The tension and the heat rises extraordinarily quickly, and then they kind of get too close to the fire. They get burned. Like, look, and they just put up a wall. I can't make a decision today. I can't do it. Sometimes they hang up on you and block you. Sometimes they're just like, no. Book a follow up call. Book a follow up call, and then they know they don't show up. So we have to make sure, and we have to be very conscious of the temperature during objection handling. And the easiest way to prevent the temperature from rising and getting too hot is by walking around to their side of the table and sitting with them like, hey, we're a team. So it's using language like we. Hey, what do we need to do to help you figure this out? Instead of, hey, what do you need to do? We gotta be on a team with these people. And then principle number three, we can't be afraid to challenge people. At the end of the day, if these people knew what was good for them, they wouldn't be on this call. They wouldn't need help. They just wouldn't be here. Right. And so if we can understand that these people need the help, right, and they're here looking for help, then we have to step up with authoritative leadership. And sometimes we have to have tough conversations. Sometimes we have to say things that might make people feel a little bit uneasy and a little bit uncomfortable. And I just posted a reel on my Instagram about this today. I know that my intentions are pure and my intentions are to help people. So I can't be afraid to make them feel bad if feeling bad is out of service to them. Sometimes they got to be told things that they might not want to hear. But even if they look at you and they're like, you're a jerk, I'm not going to work with you, you will have pushed them far enough where they're inspired enough to go hire someone else, buy another program, join another company, and get the help that they need. And that's all I care about. So I put my own financial goals aside. I put my own personal ambitions aside. And on this call, I'm here to serve you. And even if you look at me like you're a dick, I don't want to work with you, cool. As long as I kicked you in the ass hard enough to go get the help that you genuinely need, I can live with that.
Working on a beta offer of, like I said, this year-long coaching program for creative professionals, and it got people definitely interested in some hand-raising posts, even getting on sales calls, see value in the method in the program. But usually it's not the right time, or I don't have the funds to invest in that. So those are the two big objections I face.
Which one do you hear more, time or money?
Time is like the ultimate currency for a lot of these professionals who are just like strapped and busy and burnt out.
Okay. So time. And then when you say busy professionals, like who is the ideal client that you're chatting with? Who are these people?
Uh, a musician who's also working in like a nonprofit or teaching or at a school or working at a church, they're like got several jobs. They're not making all their money from whatever they're creating.
Okay.
Ideally musician, but it could also be actor, dancer, photographer, anyone in the creative arts.
Creative arts. Okay. And what is the goal for them that you're going to help them accomplish? Do they want to go full time or what do they want?
That's a good question. I think they want to stop putting their creative work last. So figure out a way to do that sustainably. If it, I don't think they all have the goal of going full time and going pro, but they all have got some project that's been on the back burner for too long. And
Okay.
they're just always saying they're going to get to it and they never do.
So they want to make their creative acting, music, photography, whatever it may be, they want to make it more of a priority. Maybe not
Yeah.
necessarily go full time, but they want to spend more time doing it because it's what actually gives them excitement and life and joy. And that's what they love to do.
Bingo.
Okay. And you're going to help them do that through your program for 2K.
Yeah.
Awesome. And the excuse or the objection that you get often is don't have time. I'm busy.
Right.
Okay. Cool. So why don't we do this? I will price drop your program as if I was selling it now that I understand it. And then you can give me the objection of time and then we can go from there.
That sounds good. We'll role play.
Awesome. So, yeah, Evan, to work together for the next 12 months so we can help make your music more of a priority in your life. It's either going to be two payments of 1,500 or a one-time investment of just 2K.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it sounds like a lot, but like how do you have openings later? Like I'm just super slammed right now and I'd love to do this, but I'm not sure if today's the day.
When you say a lot, what do you mean by that specifically?
Just like juggling several different part-time jobs and got family responsibilities, taking care of my parents, this and that.
Got it. So when you say a lot, you're talking about like in terms of time commitment?
Yeah, yeah. Just like a lot on the calendar.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how old did you say you are?
38.
Cool. And you're 38. How many jobs are you working right now?
Two,
Two. And what do you do for those two jobs?
working as a teacher at a school and also uh, a few voice lessons on the side.
Nice. Is that your own thing, the voice lessons?
That's with the company. Yeah,
Okay. So you outsource like, or they outsource to you. They just kind of give you some.
exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So voice lesson. How many hours a week do you think you're working between the teacher at the school and then the voice lessons?
50.
50 total.
Yeah.
Cool. So 50 hours going to work. And then I know you said like with family stuff, is that like
hmm
events, travel, birthdays, anniversaries, or is it just like general family stuff?
Just general, like just life, evenings, weekends, you know, two kids.
Sure. Wife as well?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, two kids. And then, so that's the majority of your time is either going 50 hours a week between the two different jobs that are producing income, which is obviously important for the wife and kids. So we can put food on the table. And then wife and kids kind of take up the remainder of your time.
Right.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
with what you just gave me, wouldn't that be the exact reason why you need to do my program?
Sure, because that I'm always putting off my own creative work.
Yeah, because what worries me is you're 38, but you've been a musician and into music, you said earlier on the call, since you were 7 years old. Like, this is what you love to do. I know you told me, hey, I don't want to be a pop star and a lead singer in a band and like do music full time, but you do have this burning passion of music inside of you. And that's what genuinely lights you on fire and what you genuinely love to do. So, like, wouldn't that be the exact reason that you do work with me? Because you've been doing it since you've been 7. You're now 38. So, for 31 years, you've had this kind of fire burning inside of you, but you've been neglecting and putting this on the back burner. And my program is going to do exactly what you want, which is to help you find the time and create the time to make music more of a priority in your life so you can exercise that creative passion that you have.
No, it's beautiful. And to step out of the role play, like if I trusted you, like due to whatever was before this call, then my next question would be like, okay, well, what is there like a down payment plan? And then you'd have me interested.
Yeah, because that's an easy one. They're like, oh, I don't have the time. Perfect. That's exactly what my program is going to help you do. Right? Like, obviously money would be a little bit, I would say,
Right.
more difficult if you want to role play that, but when it comes to time, if
Hmm.
that's exactly what your program helps them do, perfect. That's why you're hiring me.
Right.
I have
Right. Right.
a one-on-one client right now. His name's Eric, and he teaches people how to play guitar.
Right. Hmm.
But everybody who works with him, they have no desire of being like, a lead guitarist and like a famous
Sure.
guitarist. But they've bought a guitar, maybe they did some lessons, they kind of dabbled in it, right? They just love to like express themselves creatively through guitar, but they almost feel selfish to do it because they have a job and they have kids and they have family and all these
Mm.
things going on. And so when they give him that objection, it's like, well, I just don't have the time. It's like, well, we have a choice to make. Like, we either create time, 30 minutes to an hour a day, like we can create that, or you have this burning fire and passion inside of you that you're not exercising, which is just going to lead to mental burnout, exhaustion, you not being able to express yourself creatively. And then you're putting everyone and everything else in your life first, and you're not refilling your own tank, which we know guitar is going to help you do.
Yeah.
So he's not trying
No,
to
it's
convince
beautiful.
them to be a professional guitarist, right?
Sure.
It's more just like, hey, you need to be a little bit selfish here and do this for you, because when you're the best version of yourself, you can show up better for your wife. You can show up better for your kids. You can show up better
Hmm.
to these voice lessons. But you got to fill
Yeah.
your own cup too.
Yeah. Pointing out the true cost, pointing out the implications, the ripple impact. Yeah. This is great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Is that helpful?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Of course. Awesome. Karen?
I manage a detail shop. Um, it's a luxury for somebody to use our services. Obviously, it's not a necessity, so that makes it a little tricky in this wonky economy. So, the biggest thing that I get plenty of leads, things like that. And I can get all through getting the buy-in and getting somebody to convince themselves that what they need is what they've called us about. And then I get, well, that's more than I was expecting to spend.
Okay. Awesome. And then how much is it typically? I know it depends on.
Um, so our main service, our specialty runs anywhere between 1,000, 2,000.
Okay. So 1K to 2K. And is that
1K
going
to 2K. It's ceramic coating your vehicle. So it's exotic cars. It could be your regular everyday drive car. Nothing specific.
okay. That's easy.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right? Sounds
Yeah.
easy, but like today I started out our leads. I mean, had like 14 of them coming off our Facebook ad.
Hmm.
None of them went anywhere.
Well, let me ask you this. What kind of cars did those 14 people have? Did they have the ideal car for you? Were they nice cars, or were they trying to look
Um,
Civics?
Half of them, yes. A couple of them brand new. So even like two of them that I cannot get to close down because, and I assume it's price at first. If they don't say it's price, they're ghosting. They're
Okay.
super interested. They're ready. They go through, I get them a quote. They're excited. I check in with them the next morning, later that day, nothing.
Okay.
And that's frustrating. But of the people that I have and I'm on the phone, I think my biggest one I'm hitting right now is the whole, well, that's more than I was expecting to pay.
Okay. Perfect. So I'll give you the price drop then. And I'll use my car as an example to keep things simple.
Okay.
So yeah, Karen, to completely ceramic coat your 2018 McLaren 570S Spider, it'd be just 2K.
That's a little bit higher than I was expecting. I'm gonna have to think about that.
Okay. What were you kind of expecting?
More like 700-800.
Okay. Where'd you get that number from?
I was looking online. Other people charge half what you're asking me.
Other people in terms of what? Like Google and the internet, or like other people you called like in our marketplace, or what do you mean other people?
I called a couple people that are around me.
Okay. So people in our area, you got a
Mhm.
quote for 800.
Mhm.
Why didn't you hire them?
Ooh, that's a great question. Because I heard you were really good at what you do. I want to see what you guys were about.
Who'd you hear that from?
I saw it on a review.
Okay. So you found us on Google, read through, we got like 70, 80 reviews on there, kind of read through those.
Yeah, you were all 5-star
Yeah.
out of the 153 that you have.
Okay. That $800 shop or
Mhm.
person, I don't know if they're a shop or a person or whatever, what kind of reviews did they have?
Uh, some were 5-star, some were just below that, but they're newer. They're newer than you all, so they don't have as many reviews.
Mm, yeah. And what'd you say you paid for your McLaren again?
Too much.
Okay. So
Thousands.
yeah, so you probably paid like 200K for the
Yeah.
McLaren. So I would assume like this is your new baby, right? You probably worked a really long time to buy this car.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like I would assume if you're going to spend 200K on a car, like you want it to be taken care of and you want to make sure it's done properly and like it's wrapped properly and it's not scratched in the process and like it's in good hands. Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, if you're fully confident that you can spend $800 with this other shop and they have the workman's comp, they have the general liability, they have an actual shop and they can take care of your McLaren, like I guess I'm just confused why you didn't hire them. I know we have good reviews, but
I like
why
that.
not? Why not just pay the $800 if you're confident that shop can do what you want them to do?
So off the role play, that sounds like a very risky question to ask, but I like it. Like, why didn't you hire him? Yeah, why are you calling us?
Well, Karen, let me teach you something. Everything I do in sales is risky. That's why I
Mhm.
make millions of dollars.
Mhm.
Because are you not curious? Like,
Oh, definitely.
are you like when somebody tells me, I get people that get on calls with me, right? My program's 11K, or I have another program that's 25K, and they say, well, hey, I talked to this other company and like, they only wanted 5K. I'm like, awesome. Why didn't you hire them? And the answer that we all know is
Mhm.
because they weren't confident that
Yeah.
that 5K was going to be stewarded and taken care of and they were going to get the results that they wanted.
Yeah.
Because you guys can write this down. People would always rather pay more for the right thing than they would pay less for the wrong thing. Meaning people don't mind spending more money. They just want to know that it is the right program, the right shop, the right investment, the right thing for them.
Mhm.
So that's why at the end of the day, they didn't go with the $800 people because they're like, 800 bucks seems a little sketchy, right? Seems like they do it out of
Right.
a van or a warehouse, right? Seems like a young
Mhm.
kid, seems kind of new. They don't have that
Mhm.
many Google reviews. Like, I need to find someone legit. And then
Mhm.
what you tell them is like, hey, look, we've been in business for this many years. We've wrapped this many cars. We have
Mhm.
153 5-star Google reviews. So I can't speak for the other people, but what I can tell you is if you pay us the 2K, you will get exactly what you want. And at the end of the day, Karen, you don't really have a choice anyway. You just spent $200,000 on a McLaren. It has to get wrapped,
Right.
right? What are you going to do? Risk it, not spend 2K and then risk a
Mhm.
$20,000 paint job? So like we
Mhm.
both know you got to get it wrapped. And if we're
Mhm.
going to get it wrapped, wouldn't you rather just spend a little bit more money to get it wrapped professionally, correctly, on time, every time, and know that it's taken
Mhm.
care of?
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, absolutely. Of course I would.
Yeah. And then you can tell people, hey, look, like if you know the other companies they're talking to, you can kind
And
of
I do.
laugh. Yeah, great. And you can kind of
Because I
like,
shopped everybody.
yeah, so you can go shit on them subtly and you can say, hey, look, like if we're being honest, Karen, you're comparing apples to Lamborghinis and you're asking for them to be the same price.
Mhm.
And they kind of have this aha moment where they realize that you guys are on another level than all these other companies. And that's why you charge what you charge.
No, that's perfect. Thank you. I love the why didn't you hire them? That's great.
And then that also, with your industry, pretty easy to beat the timing objection as well. When people buy new supercars, they
Yes.
want to drive them,
Yes.
right? But every minute you drive that car, every mile you drive that car, you run the risk of you chipping paint and
Mhm.
cracks. And like I was driving, I have a McLaren, and I was driving it down the interstate, and my car came ceramic coated, taken care of, right? Like that's how I got
Yeah.
it. And a massive rock fell out of this rock truck, like way up ahead, and it smashed my carbon front splitter.
Mm,
If I didn't have the ceramic coating on it,
yeah.
that's what, a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 bumper, right? So it's
Yeah.
like they can't, like that's easy to beat the timing objection for you as well, because they
Mhm.
can't really wait. They don't really have time to go shop this around because they can't drive it without running the risk of thousands of dollars in damage.
That's correct. Yes.
Is that helpful?
Very helpful. Yes, that's perfect. Because I think like what you said earlier, uh, with what you just told me, I'm just going to use your line. With what you just told me, you've been wanting to get this done. You've been wanting to get it protective, right? That's why you're calling me. So it's not that they don't know that they need it, and it's not that they can't afford it. They're just seeing if I'm going to drop a price.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'd rather just not do business with somebody that wants me to devalue
Yes.
myself.
Yes. And that's a lot of what I'm realizing. Is it the right customer for us? And it's okay if it's not. We're not a fit for everybody. I want the right people. I don't want to be dealing with somebody who doesn't see the value.
Well, just remember, most people with supercars or business owners are
Mhm.
fairly or highly successful.
Mhm.
So like they're smart, they're sharp, right? Like they don't want to be taken advantage of because they have money. And so they're fairly protective over their money. So I think it's probably right that they're going to go shop it around. But that's why I just used the question of like, well, great, why didn't you hire them? It's only $800. Like, why don't you go with them?
Yeah.
Hey, did they have workman's comp general liability? If they
Mhm.
scratch your car while they're wrapping it, what happens then? Who pays for that?
That's
Look,
good.
if they can get the job done for $800, I guarantee they don't have a shop. They're brand new, so they're almost doing it at cost just so they can get some testimonials and reviews. They probably don't have workman's comp general liability. So it's like, look, if that's the route you want to go, like not going to put a gun to your head and make you do it right.
Yep. That's great.
You say that with some confidence, they're like, okay, shit, yeah. When can we set up an appointment? I'm in.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure. Did that answer your question? Your objection?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
For sure, no doubt.
My question is, it's kind of like a two-part thing.
Okay.
So I work with busy executives, entrepreneurs. It's a health, fitness, and performance offer, blood work, hormones, gut health testing, medical team, all that stuff that they can get through the program. And when I talk to them, they're all bought in. And then it's all of a sudden, oh, I didn't know it was going to be that much. So it's $6,000 for 6 months, $5,000 if you pay up front, 12 grand, 12 months, 10 if you pay for the full year up front. And then it's always like, oh, well, at that price, I got to talk to my wife because my whole market is like busy dads because my dad died and I want to keep families together. So that's the marketing angle that I use to get people in the door to differentiate me from biceps and six packs like everybody else.
Sure.
So that is what the conversation starter is. And then it's always, well, I need to go talk to my wife, but this is after they've already filled out my questionnaire and I've asked them if they can make a decision on their own. And it's like, well, yeah, I could. And I was like, and then they're telling me stuff like, well, we have a specific price that we don't go over without a discussion. So that always goes from it's too much to I got to talk to my wife. It's like interconnected. It sounds like it's a double excuse.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So By the way, you don't charge enough. 6K, 6 months with all the blood work and medical stuff. Like, shit, I'd double that price tomorrow, but that's another conversation. So cool. Let me price drop that for you, and then hit me with whatever you got.
All right.
Cool. So yeah, Cliff, to work together for the next 6 months, so we can do your blood work, all the medical team to come in, analyze your hormones, where you're at, and then build you out a customized game plan so you can lose these 40 pounds. It's either 2 payments of 3K or a one-time investment of just 5.
Well, that was more than what I thought it was going to be.
What'd you think it was going to be?
I honestly don't know. I'm kind of new in doing this, and it's just more than what I was expecting. I don't know. I was thinking about either, but the difference is like if I go to the gym, then I have somebody there with me, and you are just online. So I'm not really sure if this is the right thing for me.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you go to the gym, how many hours a day are you going to go to the gym and work with that personal trainer?
An hour.
Okay. How many days are you going to go to the gym?
2, 3, maybe 4, probably 2 or 3.
Okay. Let's say 3. So if you go to the gym 3 times a week, 1 hour a session, you're going to meet with that human 3 hours a week, right? Okay. If you work with me on the internet, I can work with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm here for you in the morning. I'm here for you in the afternoon. I'm here for you in the evening. I'm here for you all the time. So I understand what you're saying. Like, yeah, but somebody's there to tell me what to do. But when you walk out of that gym, that trainer doesn't go with you. They're not in your pocket on your phone. You can't call them up when you're lacking motivation. You can't call them up when you want to go eat a pizza rather than be healthy or skip out on your creatine, your supplements. Like, you don't have anybody there. You're kind of just on your own. So yeah, it's obviously cheaper. You're only getting 3 hours a week of that person's time. And when you walk out of the gym, so does all the accountability and sustainability with it. That's the benefit of working with me over the internet, is I'm there all the time. You're struggling on a Saturday, I'm there. You're down bad on a Monday morning, I'm there. Your workouts aren't going well, I'm there. You see kind of the difference there? How obviously working with me, I can be there to support you at a significantly higher level than doing something in person.
See, this is where they switch the excuse, because I say something
it.
stupid like
Switch
that.
it.
Like, you know what? I understand your point. I get it. Like, I understand that you're going to be there, that I can reach out to you. I'm just afraid that I'm not going to do it on my own, and I'm going to end up wasting my money.
Of course,
If I
you're not going to do it on your own. That's why you're here. I'm not asking you to do it on your own. If you could do it on your own, you wouldn't be here. You also wouldn't be 40 pounds overweight. So I'm not telling you to do it on your own. I'm telling you to let me help you.
Well, it's still more than I thought. And my wife and I, we have an agreement that there's a price that we don't go over. And if
What's
this is
that
over
price?
price,
What's that number?
it could be anything, because I've had
Give me a
people
number.
tell me
Give me a number.
$3,000. Have people tell me like 1,500 or nonsense like that. That's not a lot. So I know they're lying about 1,500, but like, let's go with $3,000. $3,000.
Okay. So anytime you're going to spend $3,001, you need to go check in with the wife and get her on board and make sure that she knows that that amount of money is coming out of the account. Am I understanding you correctly?
That's a better way to phrase it. Well, when you put it like that, we'd like to have it's a commitment, and since it's going to be more than $3,000, it'll be 6 total. Then I still need to have that conversation with her.
Yeah. So anytime you're making a purchase over 3K, you need her on board. What's her name, by the way?
Blake.
Cool. So your wife, Blake, you would need to check in with her, get her sign off. Now, let me ask you this. Are you going to Blake and asking for permission? Or are you going to Blake and saying, here's what I'm doing, I'm just making you aware of it?
Well, we have a discussion on it, and whatever we together come up with, if it's a good investment of our money, then we'll do it.
Okay, so we need her buy-in. Like if she says terrible investment, don't do that, you're obviously going to take her word at face value. You're not going to do it, right? Like you need her buy-in to swipe the card for that amount of money.
I don't feel like getting in trouble.
I don't want to be causing a divorce, right? So I can get on board with that. So let me ask you this, Blake aside, let's say that you're divorced for a moment, God forbid, you're single. If you're single, you don't have Blake to go ask for permission to do this. Do you have credit card in hand, ready to get started right now? Or besides Blake, is there anything else coming up for you that has you less than 100% certain that I'm the best coach and this is the best program for you?
I really think that you can help me. I've talked to other people and they don't have the blood work, and that's what really interests me about doing your program, because you talk about being healthy from the inside out, and it's not just about biceps and six packs. So yeah, I think I would do it if I did not have a wife and kids and a mortgage and all that stuff. It would just be a lot easier to have that disposable income.
Yeah. So if you were single, you'd have credit card ready to rock and roll. Would you do the 2 pay of 3 or would you do the 1 pay of 5 if you were going to do it?
Well, I'd probably just do the 1 pay. That way I can save myself some money.
Makes sense. Saving money's making money, right? And get on board with that. All right, cool. So you would do the 5K PIF, but again, that was a hypothetical. We got to check in with Blake.
That's right.
Did you tell her that you were getting on this call today?
No, she doesn't know. I mean,
Okay.
I've talked about that I want to get healthy, but I've been talking about it for a long time, and she doesn't know because I just wasn't sure if I was going to do it. And if the price was right, I would hop on. But now I know I need to have a conversation with her.
Sure. Does she know you're 40 pounds overweight, struggling mentally, insecure with how you look and how you feel?
I don't see how she couldn't.
So you've talked to her about it?
Yeah.
Okay. Does she want you to lose the weight, or does she say, no, babe, you look great, you're fine, you're beautiful, don't lose the weight? Or does she encourage you to get some help and lose the weight?
I think that the issue is that she's going to feel like if I do it, then she has to do it. And she's been comfortable and doesn't really want to make any changes. And I think that's the issue, is that if I do it, she's going to feel like I'm kind of forcing her to do it, or she's going to have to do it by default, something along those lines.
What's wrong with that? Maybe it's time for both of you to level up.
I don't see a problem with it, but she does.
You've had the conversation with her, like she doesn't want to change, like, because you're saying she does see a problem. So you've had this conversation with her before?
She's comfortable where she is. She's not really interested in making any changes.
Are you going to allow her complacency to hold you back from looking good, feeling good, and living your best life?
When you put it that way, it's not really fair.
Yeah. It's like, look, you love her. It's your wife. I'm not saying you should leave her over it. I'm just saying, like, it sounds like you've been complacent and used her complacency as an excuse. But at the end of the day, at some point, you're going to have to put a flag in the sand and say enough is enough. And you're going to have to make some selfish decisions because you don't feel good mentally, physically. You feel insecure. You know, you don't look your best. You're not performing in your job. Like, you're suffering and using her complacency as an excuse to keep suffering. That's not fair.
I guess I might, now that you mention it, I didn't think I was doing that, but it's always a possibility.
Yeah. So here's what worries me, if we can just be open and honest. If you go to Blake, she says no. Maybe it's partly the money, but it's really because, like you said, she's going to feel like you're going to be leveling up, and then she's going to have her back in a corner and she's going to have to level up, and she's happy where she's at. Maybe she's a little insecure. If you start looking good, feeling good, have more confidence, maybe if she's not doing it, you start having eyes for other people. Like, it creates a whole world of dynamics that aren't in your favor. So if you go to her, she says no every day of the week. So what's the point of even going and having a conversation with her? You know what she's going to say. no, it's too much money, don't spend it. But we know the deeper meaning and the root cause is she's afraid that she's going to be put into a corner that she doesn't want to be in.
She's still my wife. We still make decisions together, and I just got to run it by her, see what she has to say.
You
She
think
might
she'd
say
divorce
yes.
you? You think she'd
Huh?
divorce you over 6K?
No, but she might make my life hell for not asking, and because of the prior agreement that we have.
Sure. But your wife wants the best for you. If we're not talking about her and her fitness journey and her complacency, she wants the best for you, her husband, yeah?
I would hope so.
Me too. I'm not a marriage coach, no, but yeah, I would hope so. So let me ask you this. Okay. Do you think your wife, Blake, is going to respect you more for planting your flag in the sand and making a decision to do the hard shit? Right? Giving blood, not fun. Eating healthy, not fun. Getting up early, going to bed late, going to the gym, being disciplined, it's not fun. So do you think that she's going to respect you more for making a commitment to yourself to do the hard shit so you can level up for you and her and your family? Or do you think she's going to respect you more for going to mommy and asking for permission? No right answer. I'm just curious. Like, if I went to my wife and said, "Hey, babe, is it okay to spend money so I can get in shape and I can perform my best for our family and I can level up in my career and feel confident?" Do you know how she would look down on me for coming and asking if it's okay to step into the highest version of myself? Like, that's not what a man does. If you're in a traditional marriage and dynamic, right? Like, you should be leading the family. And right now, you're not. Right now, you're allowing her and her complacency using that as an excuse to not level up. You have to start leveling up, not only for you, but for your family, right? You've heard of generational wealth before, creating enough wealth that it can take care of your kids and their kids. What we're going to do together, Cliff, is create generational health. Because if you and your wife together as a team keep doing what you're doing, your kids are going to follow in your footsteps. And it's your job as a parent and it's your job as a husband to break these generational curses, or else you're going to pass them down to your kids. And that's not fair for them. So we're kind of at an inflection point here where I know you guys have this non-spoken agreement of 3K, but it's your duty as the man and the head of the household to step up for yourself. That way you can lead your wife, you can lead your kids, and you can lead the rest of your life in the best, healthiest way possible. But you tell me, where do you want to go from here?
When that happens, and let's say he does buy, how many times have you seen the wife get beyond pissed off and then they've got to refund, come back the next day and ask for a refund?
Never.
Never.
Because that's a shit ass wife if that happens.
Oh yeah, I've seen it happen, man. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get on a call with that person. I'm like, hey, you want some feedback? Not a great wife you have. With all due respect, I'm just saying, like, if she doesn't support you stepping up, that's wildly selfish. I'm not telling you what to do with your marriage. I'm just telling you that, like, if I had a wife that didn't support me leveling up in my fitness, that's not my wife anymore. Because that person doesn't care about me. Cliff, you know my background. That's why I am divorced. Because my wife, the more money I made, didn't support me because it made her feel insecure. It made her feel insignificant. That's why I go, bye-bye. Bye. Next. I'm not going to have somebody dragging me down. So at the end of the day, like, bro, it's 6K. Like, it's nothing. It's basically free. Blood work, a medical team, you with your experience, and I know you very well. I know your background. Like, are you out of your mind? I get to work with you in all of this stuff for 6K. Like, she's not going to divorce him over that. And if anything, I'm like, look, get her on the call with me. Get Blake on the call with me. I'll handle it. And I just calm the tension, calm the nerves. Everything's going to be fine. Your husband's going to be good looking again. He's going to be shredded again. He's going to have more energy again. His libido is going to go up. He's going to want to have sex with you again. Everything's going to be fine, Blake. Give me a couple of months. And guess what, Blake? If you're not happy and you don't see an improvement in your husband at the end of a couple months, you let me know. I'll refund every penny.
And that's the problem. I try to get the wife on the phone, and I guess these guys just are afraid of their wives and won't put them on the phone at all
Yep.
because then it's kind of emasculating. And then everyone that I'm going to see the dynamic in their house, and they're trying to keep that hidden.
But I think we cross that bridge when we come to it. I don't
Yeah.
give a shit. I'm making the sale today, right? I'll worry about the fallout later. But if this is what they want to do, then I'm going to hold their feet to the fire. I'm going to hold them accountable. I'm going to have the tough conversation. I'm collecting a credit card today. If it all blows back on me, we'll cross that bridge tomorrow if we come to it, but I don't think we will.
Yeah, I'm just going to start losing it on my own, not letting them just disappear and let them just not stand up for themselves.
Yeah, because here's the problem. By you not holding them accountable and you not enrolling them into your offer, you're doing them a massive, massive disservice because they need your help. Right? So think about how many men are walking around in this world overweight, lacking confidence, insecure, because you didn't hold their feet to the fire and get them the help that they need. So you're doing them and their families a disservice by not closing them. That make sense?
Yep, it does.
Is that helpful? Any questions there or all good?
No, that's good. Thank you, man. It was always those two that get wrapped together, and then it was the whole aspect of the whole wife and thing, and it just wastes my time with, oh, I'm going to go talk to her. I'm like, what are you going to say? Oh, I don't know. I'll figure it out. Yeah, we might as well not even schedule this follow-up call if you're going to act that way. Because if
Yep.
you were to figure it out, we wouldn't be here in the first place. So,
Yep.
cool.
Follow-up calls very rarely buy. So if I had a fitness offer, which I don't because I don't know shit about fitness, but if I did, I'd be like, hey, look, wife aside, isolate. Yes, it's just a wife. Cool. And then I'm getting them to put, hey, look, we're going to put $500 down today. It's fully refundable. That's just going to guarantee that you show up to the follow-up call. I've taken an hour out of my day to chat with you for free today. I'm cool with that. But my calendar is crazy busy. And if we're going to put more time on my calendar, I need to make sure that my time is protected. And I need to make sure you're actually going to show up to that call so we can continue our conversation. So we'll put $500 down today. And if you want that money back, you're going to show up on the call and tell me, and then I'll refund it. But it gives me the opportunity to ask you why you're not proceeding. That way I can learn and get better for future clients like you. And if they're not willing to put the $500 down, they were never going to become a client anyway. And then it opens the door back to other objections that we can start to handle.
Gotcha. All right. Sounds good. Thanks, man.
Of course. Robbie, what you got? Give me something tough. Stump me. Give me something tough here.
All right. I don't know that it's tough actually, but it's a little bit different than, I don't want to say standard objections, but like, the common objection stuff. So I do generally 12-week cycling rehab program. I target low back and just cyclists. I'll work with some runners. I'll work with knees and stuff, but my advertising is toward low back pain. Keep it narrow, keep it niche. I do $1,750 for the 12 weeks. That includes all their programming, chat in my app, and video calls. I usually say bi-monthly, and honestly, my best clients never asked to do a video call.
Okay.
I do have a drop down, and like your philosophy on what you do in terms of payment is really interesting to me. My drop down is take away the video calls, drop it to 1,000. I've never actually sold a drop down. I've sold thousands, like the $1,000 program, but that was on a whim, like knowing who I'm talking to and making a guess that if I do 1,000 upfront, they're going to go yes. And dealing with the drop down has never felt authentic. It's like, oh, I just pulled the video calls and all of a sudden like $750 less. I mean, maybe it's my explanation of it too, right? But it feels like that just doesn't make sense, right?
But you're going to make sure on the same page. You're going from 1,750 to 1,000.
Yeah, and all I'm taking off is video calls.
But dude, if they can afford 1,000, they can afford 1,750. We're talking about $750.
Right. I tend to agree. So this is not my own framework, and I've kind of been working in the framework. I mean, some people have success with it with the people I've worked with, but like,
well, whoever
honestly, I've only sold the 1,000 when I've just gone straight to the 1,000.
Yeah, correct. Because whoever's teaching this is wildly incorrect, not by my opinion, but based on human psychology. The reason it doesn't feel good is because it's not good. Because when you're like, yeah, it's 1750. Oh, it's too expensive, can't afford it. Oh, cool, man. Well, what if we did 1,000? Like you're just devaluing yourself. And again, people would rather spend more money on the right thing than they would less money on the wrong thing.
Yep.
People
I-
want you. They want to connect with you.
Yep.
Like I have do you know who Alvin Alvin Guo is?
I do actually, yeah.
Right. Yeah, he's a low back pain specialist.
Yep.
Cool. So he's a one-on-one client of mine. Dude, he's locking down like $3,500 PIFs day in and day out, left, right, and center.
Yeah.
So before we objection handle this, I will tell you, one, your price is too low, double it. I don't give a shit what your close rate is, double it. And people don't raise their price because their close rate is low, but their close rate is not low because of the price. Their close rate is low because they don't know how to close sales. So, and your lower price is probably hurting you because they're like, well, if you're so confident, you can get me back to cycling, you can fix my low back pain, you can rehab this, you can save me all the PT visits and all this shit. Why is it so cheap?
Yeah.
And they might not say that, but it's probably what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Even though they're like, I can't afford it. They can. These people.
My gut agrees with you for sure. Now, the problem I've been having and like my like straight up biggest losses, and it's like I think I've lost significant revenue here, is I'll get someone who I run through the details with, and they end up going with a pretty quick yes. I mean, we talked through a few things. There might be like a really minor objection thing that they almost talk themselves out of, and then they say, yeah, think I'm going forward with it, or yeah, let's do it. You know, that works for me. My like post call flow, if you will, is I let them know that I'm going to send them the checkout page. Once they complete that, I'm going to get them added. When are we getting started? And they'll, give a day or whatever. And then I'm not getting these sales.
Can I?
And sometimes I'll get a.
Can I just fix all of this for you right now?
Go ahead.
Can I just fix it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's how to fix it. No more sending payment links.
Yep.
No more. Yeah, you feel good, ready to dive in? Great. I'm ready for the card number.
Cool.
That's your new checkout process. Like I have closed $7 million in cash with that exact verbiage every time. Yeah, you feel good, ready to dive in? Yep. Great. I'm ready for the card number. Because in sales, we must, as the salesperson, remain in control. And what you're doing is you're quite literally passing the control via a Stripe link to them, hoping that they fill it out. And then I guarantee you, Robbie, every time you send them an email and every time you send them an Instagram message and every time you send them a text checking in, hey, did you pay the link? You feel like shit, right? Why? Because you're chasing them around and you're not in control. And most of the time they read your emails and they don't respond. They open your Instagram message, they don't respond, right? So we've just given them control. Instead, it's like, cool, yeah, you feel good? Great, I'm ready for the card number. Boom, card number now. Then from there, we can book the onboarding call once they've paid. We can get them access to everything, blah, 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 right? So back to you dropping the price to 1,000. I would never do that on a call, but I would use that as a re-offer. And what that looks like is 24, 48 hours after they say, no, I can't afford it, too expensive, da, da, da. Then I call them and they're not going to answer. So I'm going to hang up and I'm going to call them again. People see a random number, they don't answer. They see a random number twice. Oh, somebody died. Hello? Always call twice.
Yep.
Then if I can't get in touch with them via text and email trying to get them on a call, then I'll film them a Loom video. I love Loom because it tells me when they've watched it. So then I'm going to send them a Loom video with a re-offer that basically says, hey, Robbie, I know last time we spoke, you had this issue and your goal was this and you're struggling with that. I've been thinking about you since our call and I want to get you the help you need. I think, keyword, I think I might, so we're not certain, I think I might have found a way for us to work together. That, and then whatever their objection was, time, money, whatever. I think I might have found a way for us to work together that's going to be less money down, but can help you insert goal. Let me know when you have a couple minutes to chat and I can walk you through the details. Call that a re-offer. Teach that to my one-on-one clients.
Mm-hmm.
I've sold hundreds of thousands of dollars of shit with reoffers. But when you drop it on a call, psychologically, it doesn't feel good. It's like,
Yep.
well, what do I need? Do I need the 1750? Do I need the 1,000? Like, what do I need here?
Yep.
Right?
It offers a bad option. Like options can be, especially in rehab, right? Like
Never
you know,
good.
You might think as a physical therapist, oh, it's great if the patient has options. No, because options are confusion and that's it.
Correct.
And I mean that I've learned to a degree, but obviously not deep enough.
Yeah. Like I have a module in my program that talks about having multiple offers. You only pitch one offer. Like Cliff, I know when you were like walking me through your program, you had like 20 offers. Make sure you only pitch one. And 2 prices is fine, but it's one offer. We're just doing a discounted price if it's paid in full. The more offers, the more smoke that's in the air. The more smoke that's in the air, the harder it is to see. You can't breathe. And then you need to exit the smoke. So you're like, hey, could you just send all this to me in writing and I can kind of review it and then get back to you? How many times have you heard that? No, fuck that.
Yeah.
Not sending shit in writing. You know what I do after a call? Nothing. No email, nothing. Oh, can you send this to me in writing? Send what to you in writing? I just had you write it all down.
Right.
My emails is going to be exactly what you just wrote down on your paper.
Yeah.
What do you want me to send?
Do you get cell phone number on your initial booking
Yes.
when they book the call with you?
Yeah, always.
Okay. So put that in there, make it mandatory. Cool.
Yeah. Because then I can send text reminders and I have their phone number if I need to call them. Yeah.
And if they won't give you their number to book a call, then it's probably not a great lead anyways.
If you won't give me your credit card, or excuse me, if you won't give me your phone number on a Calendly booking link, you were never going to give me your credit card at the end of the Zoom.
100%, man. 100%. I dig it. Yeah, I've been thinking about that and like, trying not to change process, but like I totally agree. I mean, I'd say my close rate is probably just a hair under 30, but I feel like 100% of the time when I send the link that like you said, I've lost control. Like that feeling is very visceral to me because it's been the reality. And, even when those do come through, like that period is still just a very odd feeling. And I don't really think it helps the entrance into the program either. If that person is going to come work with me.
For sure. Yeah. Because you don't have the leadership.
Yeah.
Right. How many calls are you taking per month?
Probably a high of like 25. Slower, I can even dip down to like 10, maybe.
You think what do you think the average is?
15 in 5 months or so.
15 per month or 15? Okay.
15 per month. Yeah.
So you're doing like 7, 8K a month in like revenue?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, just to show you quickly, because if you look at these numbers for you, right, these are your numbers. Okay. First of all, this price can be raised.
Yeah.
Right. So this 7K, like this can easily go to 3K minimum.
Yeah.
Right. Now you're at 13.5. And then this close rate can easily, you're in a pain management offer. This close rate can easily be 45%. Right.
Yeah.
Now you're at 20. So you just like more than doubled, maybe 2.5x your company by just simply bumping your close rate 15%, adding a couple dollars to your price.
Yeah.
Then you dial in the marketing. Obviously, this can go up 1 call a day. I mean, you can get that to 30. Now you're at 40K a month. But I don't help with that number.
Yeah.
But I do help with these numbers. And like this, like if you're with your offer and your lead flow, there's no reason you're not doing 20K a month every month like clockwork in your sleep.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question on, I mean, obviously like experience and having done 7,000 calls is a key for you. But if I feel like I'm getting myself moving too fast to like read that person's cues, right? Because I feel like that's part of my problem where I arrive at like I've almost blitzed them with this offer. And for whatever reason, like their way of getting rid of me is to say yes. Whether or not they're even considering it, I don't even want to dive into that. In terms of slowing it down, because like you're fucking masterful at that, right? I don't think that's any secret to anyone here. What would be the thing that you would work on there for someone who tends to get moving fast and talking too much to where I'm talking and not communicating?
Mm-hmm. What part of the call are we talking about? Or is it all of it?
I think that's when I do a little bit of physical assessment. I think that's when I transition from the physical assessment portion to tell them how I'm going to help them. Is when I really start rolling down the tracks.
Yeah, you're too smart. You know too much.
Yeah.
And then you over coach people and over explain shit. And again, the more words that you speak, the more smoke is in the air, the more smoke, the harder it is to make decisions. They just can't breathe. They can't see. They're like, dude,
Yeah.
just get me the fuck off of this call. Get me out. I can't breathe. I don't like it. All right. So the one word that changed my life 5 years ago, because I can be long-winded, brevity, concise, and exact use of words in writing or speech. This one word changed everything for me because I started playing a game with myself. And that game was, how can I convey my message in as few words as humanly possible? So somebody will ask me, well, hey, like let's say you're on a call with me, right? I'm trying to sell you my offer, right? And you're like, well, hey, have you ever worked with somebody in like the low back pain management space? Yep. That's it. You ask me yes or no, I give you a yes or no. What most people do, oh yeah, 100%, dude, absolutely. I have this guy Alvin. You ever heard of Alvin? Yeah, Alvin does the same thing as you, and I had this guy Steph, and da 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 da. Well, fuck, dude. Okay, got it. Like, damn, like, hey, you're overselling, you're overcompensating. If your girl comes in and is like, Robbie, you cheating on me? No, and then you go in some long spiel, you're definitely cheating. But if you're just like, no, and then you go back to doing the dishes, she believes you. Don't go cheat on your spouse and use that now, but you get the point, right? So it's like, it's like you just don't need to over like position yourself, like overselling, over explaining. Like, dude, they're on the call because they know you're the expert.
Yeah.
That's why they're here.
Yeah.
You don't have to overcompensate. Make sense?
Absolutely. Thanks.
Yeah. But you asked me for a tactical, like how to slow it down. Brevity obviously will help you. And kind of playing the game with yourself. I don't know how often you review your sales calls, but with your close rate and your income, I'd be reviewing every sales call.
Yeah.
Like you with yourself. And then because you never think you talk as much as you do. And then you watch it back and you're like, ah, you're like, dang, was I really? Yeah, I guess I did. It's on the tape, but can't deny it.
Yep.
I'd be reviewing all these calls for sure. Dorina, what you got for me?
As you know, I started my new offer. So what I do, I help business owners and coaches scale with content and ads. I came from a background of content creation. So I used to be selling content that nobody cares about, nobody wants to buy, that I was selling for 2,500, not successfully. And now I'm getting into this. So what I get right now is that, and I do not coach on calls anymore. Like I try to practice brevity. I'm really trying really hard. Still a little bit of a struggle, but here's what I get. First, I cannot afford. And then I get, well, listen, maybe I can also just do it myself. Or I'm just starting out. Or I'm just starting to scale my business. I haven't discovered all my options just yet. So that's literally what I got today. So those are two main things that I usually get. Either I cannot afford, or yeah, I just need to take some time to just go out, practice some things, and yeah, maybe if it doesn't work out for me, I'll come back to you.
Okay, cool. So very simple to solve because Sean, who's on this call, he's one of my one-on-one clients. Very similar offer, works with new people, a little bit of content, but mainly ads, right? It's what he teaches. And so during discovery for you, you really have to get them locked down that like they're serious about building the business. They want to build the business. They're in the process of building the business. And we also have to ask them like, hey, this is a new business, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. When did you start it? No, like 6 months ago. Cool. You ever ran ads before? No. Why not? Well, I was trying to do the content, the organic thing for a while. I bought a program teaching me organic. And well, how many hours have you spent on organic? Like 5 hours a week. How many leads have you gotten? Like 4. How many sales have you closed? None. Got it. So you spending 5 hours a week for the past 24 weeks, 6 months, right? So you've effectively spent 120 hours of time, which we kind of flushed down the toilet because we made $0 in revenue, right? Yeah. Do you understand that ads is like a much faster path to cash? We can just spend like 10, 20, 50 bucks a day and get you in front of your ideal client so you don't have to do that? Yeah, I need ads. Cool. Have you ever ran ads before? No. Why not? Well, I don't know. If you were going to run ads, what kind of ads would you run? Well, I've heard that like boosting the reels on Instagram is cool. Got it. But you've never boosted a reel? Nope. You ever gone into like the Facebook ads manager and like done the targeting? No. You ever scripted an ad? No. Ever filmed an ad? No. I'm doing all that in discovery. And then you're going to tell me at the end of the call, like, yeah, I'll probably just do it on my own. I would literally laugh. I'd be like, time out. Do you say you're going to go do it on your own? Like the ads, like the paid ads, you're going to do that on your own? And I say it in a way that's like wildly condescending. Like, wait, time out. Is that what you just said? And then they kind of like sit back and they're like, well, yeah. And they're like confused, like, what's wrong with that? It's like, but earlier you told me you've never ran ads, scripted ads, edited ads, filmed ads. You'd never done ads. You open a little bit of feedback. Yeah, that's a long, treacherous road. Okay. Because not only do you have to copyright the ad and film the ad and edit the ad, that's like step one. That's just like the content piece, which you say you have no experience doing. But let's say somehow you nail it. You won't, but let's just give you the benefit of the doubt. You nail it, right? First try. Woohoo. If we don't take that nicely produced ad and target the right people with it, you make no money. If we overspend on the budget, you're net loss. You don't make money. You're not profitable, right? If we don't know how to boost these reels to put them in front of the right people at the right time to get the right people on the phone, maybe you book out your calendar. Yay, we got 50 sales calls and none of them show up. Or yay, we got 50 sales calls and nobody buys. Now you just spend 50 hours on sales calls to, again, make $0. So it's like, why would you want to go do that? Like, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And you just shit on it with so much facts. And I'm not lying, it's true. You've never ran paid ads before. Hey, the only way to figure out ads is to spend money. You also told me earlier that your full-time job is only excess cashing you like an extra $1,000 a month. So are you willing to burn $1,000 a month for the next 15 to 20 months to figure it out on your own when I can just collapse time and show you how to figure it out tomorrow? And then they're kind of like, oh, didn't really think about that. I didn't know it was that hard. Didn't know it was going to take that long. Business owners have this natural tendency to be overly confident in skills that they don't have. Right? Like, and let's say, I don't know, let's say they're a sales coach, right? Let's use me as an example. It's like, hey, you're an expert at sales, right? Yeah, I'm the best. I'm the best sales coach. Yeah, rah, rah, rah. Ego. Cool. How would you rate yourself in terms of marketing? No, I don't really know much about marketing, but I'm good at sales. But I'm doing that during discovery. So I'm already deflating the ego, getting them to realize that they have this skill. Woohoo. Don't have this skill. You have that skill. We talked about this on my closesales.com group call today. We're talking about how to deal with really masculine, egotistical prospects, because I have one of my clients, Simon, he helps people write books. And the people who write books are successful, right? I would hope. They're executives. There was one was like a GM of an MLB team, makes millions of dollars. And they come on the call egotistical. I'm going to write the book. So you have to deflate the ego by giving them kudos and props. Hey, you're an expert in this space, but you've never written a book before, right? I'm the expert in this space. You might make more money than me. You might do cool shit in the world of baseball or, executive or whatever you do, but you don't know anything. Like, you're in my domain. This is what I do. So you're positioning yourself during discovery as the expert, and then that objection will just dissipate. And if you do get it, that's how you handle it.
Okay.
You sure you want to do this on your own?
Yeah.
Because earlier you said you had no experience doing it, and I'm just trying to help you here. I've been doing this a long time with a lot of people. The only way to crack the code on ads is to spend money to figure it out. So I just want to make sure you're willing to spend thousands of dollars for months on end. So tens of thousands of dollars that you're probably going to burn just so you can figure it out on your own. When I can come in for $5,000, just collapse the learning curve and get you to where you want to go like tomorrow.
Okay, and quick question. So I had somebody that I was talking to today. He was not my ideal client. I honestly just took the call because I was just practicing my objections. But he was like, well, I went, I'm doing lead gen on LinkedIn. It's working well for me. He does design for like founders, whatever, and branded stuff. And he was like, well, I just want to switch to Instagram. Like LinkedIn is working fine for me, but I'm planning to use the same content I'm using for LinkedIn for Instagram. So that's his launch strategy. So in this case, he was like, yeah, like, again, like, it's working for me on LinkedIn. Let me just go and do the same on Instagram. So I was trying to frame it as like, yeah, like, that's a completely different world. Like, you never touched Instagram before. It's like you're trying to go into like, it's so different. Like, the
Yeah.
audience that you're targeting and everything. So was that the right frame kind of just to focus on?
How many connections do you have on LinkedIn?
7,000,
How long you been on LinkedIn?
6 months.
So you got 7,000 connections in 6 months. How often are you posting organically on LinkedIn?
3 times a week.
Okay. How many of those connections on LinkedIn did you send versus how many people sent connections to you?
Okay. Well, maybe, well, people see my content, they follow me. Like, I don't know. I don't have a number.
Okay. But do you think you initiated the majority of these connections to kind of boost up your LinkedIn, or do you think they did, or?
Probably like 60-40%. So probably 60 me, 40 them.
Okay. And how many followers do you have on Instagram?
100.
Okay. So if you're posting LinkedIn content, which is one type of content, to 7,000 people, and now you're going to take that same content, which is not optimized for Instagram, which is a totally different world that you've never played in, and you're going to post it to 100 people that you don't even know if they're your ideal client or not. Half of them are probably friends and family. Like, you confident that that's going to work?
I don't know. Just wanted to give it a try. I mean, if it's working on LinkedIn, it should work on Instagram.
That's not true. LinkedIn is one platform. Instagram's another. They're wildly different platforms. One also has 7,000 followers. One has 100
Yeah.
followers. Like, there's a massive disparity in what we're talking about. So I don't think it's bad that you're going to take your content, repurpose it for Instagram. I'm just telling you, you're not going to get the same reach and the same connection, the same response that you're getting on LinkedIn. And I'm saying in order to supplement that, that's where the paid ads come into play, because now we can just target your ideal client. Remember how you said you did 60% of the
Yeah.
connections? Right? You manually went in and found these people. We can spend $50 a day and let the algorithm go find these people and put your content in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to take months or years to build up LinkedIn or Instagram organically? Or do you want to maybe shortcut the learning curve and just run some paid ads for $50 a day and get in front of your ideal clients tomorrow?
Yeah, probably that's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, and one last question. Thank you. That was awesome. So this guy today was like making 3,000, and he's in India. Okay, I don't know how he found me, but whatever. Again, I was just kind of practicing my objections. But so for me, with my 3K offer as a one-time payment and 4K offer as split payment, what kind of a founder should I target, or kind of a business should I target? Like, how much should they be making, or does it even matter? Like, just from your perspective.
No, your pricing's so low. I mean, as long as they are a business owner, a coach, or whoever you're targeting, they'll be fine.
Okay, yeah, because I'm like, well, listen, you're gonna pay that, and you're gonna make twice as that in a month and a half. So like why not, right? If you're even making 4, okay,
Yeah, because like it really comes down to like what kind of price points these people have, right? Like my ideal client is coaches.
Yeah.
But if you're a coach with $100 offer, like you're not my ideal client. Just because you're a coach doesn't mean you're an ideal client. So it really comes down to the price points. And it makes the math really easy. If like they have like a 3K price point, you're like, look, we help you close one sale. We generate one lead, get on one call, close one sale. You're break even on the investment.
Yeah. Okay, and I guess that comes down to discovery as well, me asking the right questions to understand that.
Yeah, of course. Like, hey, what do you charge for your service? What do you charge for your program?
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions there? All good.
I guess like I kind of understand how a dress I cannot afford it. I usually just go in a direction of like, okay, like you can't afford it. Money side, like, do you actually want to do this? And they're like, well, yeah. And then sometimes you just get lost with that, to be honest. So yeah. So I need
What do you mean you get lost with it?
I don't know. It's just I feel like if I have a number of questions in front of me that I'm going through, like in discovery, like I feel more comfortable. But when I'm getting like they're like, well, yeah, like yeah, I would go for this program. I'm like, okay, well, and then I don't really know what to say. Like, I mean, maybe I'm just looking for the right question to ask, and that like I'm a perfectionist trying to just make it perfect, and that's why I'm just getting lost in the questions that I'm asking. Like, I'm not really sure.
But are we talking about an objection handling or during our discovery?
No objection handling. Like discovery is usually fine. So
Okay. Well, I mean, if they give you the objection, just ask questions about that one objection. If they give you 6 objections, I kind of laugh. I'm like, okay, can you
yeah,
repeat those one more time? 'Cause that was about 6 things. I want to write these down so I can handle them one by one. And I kind of
Yeah.
laugh, right? Again, me laughing, smiling, like making a joke, I'm like lowering the tension in the room.
yeah.
And then they give me the objections. I'm like, okay, cool. So out of those 6, which one's the most pressing? What's the biggest issue here?
Mhm.
And I handle that. Okay, what's next? Right? And I did literally just go through them. And I had a woman one time who it was whack-a-mole. Every time I handle one objection, she gave me another. I'm like, hey, could I give you some advice? She's like, yeah. I'm like, don't hire me. Every time you come up with one reason not to do it and I handle it and show you why it makes sense to do it, you come up with 6 other things and reasons why you shouldn't do it. Not going to put a gun to your head and make you get the help. Like if you don't want to do it, just tell me you don't want to do it. It's not that big of a deal. I'll still make 150 grand this month, whether we work together or not. I'm just trying to help you here. Like I tell people that, and I mean it.
Yeah.
Like I will. I'll make 150 to 200K in cash this month. I don't need your money. So if you don't want the help, don't get it. I don't like. I got 2 pistols sitting on my desk over here. I'm not gonna put one to your head and make you do it. I'm not gonna make you get the help. Like just don't. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep grinding the organic game. Spending 5 to 10 hours a week posting organically to crickets. If that's what you want to do, like by all means. So we lean out because guys, like it's dating, right? When you smother the other person, they don't want you anymore. When you lean out and you text back a little slower and you become a little bit less interested, even if you really are interested, the psychology is people want what they can't have. So now that they feel like they're losing me, 90% of the time they pull me back in. No, no, well, wait, like that. And then they pull me back in the conversation. Or they lean out with me and then we get off the call.
That makes sense.
But I don't want to chase them around forever. You know,
Yeah.
I'll handle some objections, but at some point I'm like, dude, just don't do it. Like, not that big of a deal. That make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Cool. Jack, what you got for me, buddy?
So we've got an offer that is a breathwork facilitator training, and not only a certification program, but we're also helping people become wellness entrepreneurs. And so one of the most common objections that we've been getting recently that I've been had a hard time overcoming is, hey, I need to go and meditate on this. I need to feel into it. I need to go with spirit. I'm curious, how would you handle that objection?
Yeah, I've had that one a couple times. Like, I've had people like, hold on, let me check if Mercury is in retrograde. And
Yeah,
they literally
yep.
Google it, and I'm like, God damn it, like I had a lady and her girlfriend one time, and she looks at her girlfriend, she's like, what do you think? She's like, yeah, I think it makes sense. She's like, 1 second. She like leans over and takes her pendant and spins it, and like waits for it to stop spinning, and then she's like looking down at it, and she's like, okay, we'll do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, what was that? It's like, oh, I was just making sure the universe is in alignment with us making this decision.
Yeah.
I'm like, dog, like, so, I mean, yes, like the very woo-woo spiritual energy, type people, it can be an objection, and depending on how like woo-woo they are, depends on how much I would push it. Now, if what they've been doing has not been going good up until this point, because I figured all that out during discovery, like, yeah, I just need to go like meditate and, da, da, da. Cool. Is that always how you make decisions? Yeah, always. Great. How's that working out for you? If it's not going good, maybe we should probably do something a little different here.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I always sleep on decisions. Cool. Is that just how you do anything? If you want to go get McDonald's, you just like sleep on it for 24 hours, or what do you mean? No, big decisions. Got it. So you would consider this a big decision? Yeah, for sure. $5,000. Yeah, definitely big decision. Cool. So all the big decisions in your life you think on. Yeah, always. Now, how's that working out for you? Like, obviously that's wildly masculine up against like a very spiritual woo-woo, type person.
Yeah.
But you can just ask them during discovery if this is a common objection. Like, and here's a rule of thumb, guys. If you're getting an objection over and over and over and over again, turn it into discovery questions. Hey, just out of curiosity, like when it comes to finding coaches, mentors, investing in yourself and your business, like how do you make buying decisions? Well, what does that process look like for you? And if they tell you, oh, I meditate on it. Awesome. Is that like a 1 hour meditation, a 1 week meditation? You fly out to a Dr. Joe Dispenza event and meditate for 7 days straight. Like, what does that look like? And I'm getting this information. And if that's really genuinely how they make the decision, and I uncover that early enough on the call, I'm probably not going to push them at the end of the call.
Yeah.
But hey,
That's
meditation aside though, like how do you feel right now? I know you want to meditate on it. I'm not asking you to make a decision. I'm just curious, how do you feel right now? No, I feel like this is what I really, really want to do. So I get them bought in over and over and over, buy in, buy in, buy in, buy in. And then I release them to go meditate and I book a follow-up call.
Yeah. Great. Well, that's been something we've been struggling with too, is I pushed a prospect too far, and is actually exactly after seeing a reel that you put out. And it was like, why are you afraid to be pushy? And so I pushed a little bit more, and it was great. But after going back and watching the call recording, I could see the moment where he became very uncomfortable and he switched, and he even asked me the question. He says, hey, dude, he says, can I ask you an honest question? He says, are you working on commission? And I should have been like smoke, should have tried to ask him a question, but instead I just responded, oh yeah, of course I'm on commission, but that's not why I'm here trying to help you get into this training. Right. And so that's another issue we've been dealing with, is when to stop being pushy and when to let someone go, and maybe even push them towards the founder, Ben, so that he can connect with them, because he's the coach. Ultimately, we've got a couple other coaches, but it seems like me passing them off to him, it's as if I've failed to close them myself, but sometimes that really does help bring that kind of across the finish line as far as to close.
Yeah, but obviously as a closer, we don't want to have to do that.
Yeah, not at all.
You have 2 programs or 1 program that you have the ability to sell?
One program.
Okay. Because I've had people ask me that before, and I had 2 programs, like a 9,800 and a 25K at the time, or a 30K, and they'd be like, do you work on commission? Yep. And then you'd kind of see their face like, oh, he's just trying to get me. And I'd be like, if the reasoning behind your question is because you think that I just care about making the money, just so you know, we have another program that's 30K, meaning I would make 3 times as much commission. And if I only cared about taking your money, I would have tried to pitch you a higher price program so I can make 3 times the amount. So my intentions are pure. My intentions are to help you. Yeah, I make commission, but that's irrelevant to the conversation. And if you're asking because I'm pushing you a little bit, I'm pushing you out of a place of love and service to you, because you just sat here for 56 minutes and told me how shitty things are and how much you need help. And now I'm trying to help you make a decision that can ultimately change the trajectory of the rest of your life. So your commission, whether you buy or not, does nothing for me.
Yeah.
Like your 1 commission deal doesn't change my life. And I tell people that. Like when I was building the $1.7 million a month company, I'm like, look, dude, we'll do 1.7 million bucks in cash this month, whether we work together or not. I tell people that now. Look, I'll do 150K in cash this month, whether we work together or not. Your money does nothing for me financially. I have my dream house, my dream life, my dream car. Life is
This
good.
one commission isn't going to make or break me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you're asking because you think I'm pushing you so I can make the commission, I apologize, but that's not the case. Your commission does quite literally nothing for my financial situation, but my heart is big and my intentions are pure and I want to help you.
Yeah. I'd love to know, Austin, if you have time, what is your number 1 question to dive into pain? I know you like to start with the challenge. Like, what is the challenge you're facing here?
Yeah, well, it depends on the offer. Not everybody's in pain.
For sure.
Most people are, but not everybody is motivated by pain.
So
Like,
for our
Go-
specific client, we're looking for people who really want to be wellness entrepreneurs. Most of these people are working a 9 to 5 that they dislike, and they've discovered they've been on this healing path themselves and they've felt the power of breath work and now they want to share it with others. That's our ideal client.
Yeah. So they're more goals oriented. They're inspired to help people. They want to expand their reach. They want to bring people into
But
this world of breath work.
And the pain is really the lack of financial freedom, lack of time freedom, location freedom, things like that.
Yeah, but their bills are still paid.
Yeah.
Food's still on the table.
Yeah. Comfortable in that
Well,
comfort zone.
Lights are still on.
Yeah.
Now, some of them might hate their boss. Like, well, hey man, you've been at that job for the past 17 years. Like, well, all of a sudden you want to make a change. Oh, dude, we went through a reorg and I got a new boss and she's a jerk and I hate her and blah, blah. Okay, cool. There's some pain there. We can dig into that. But realistically, my first pain question is always very broad. Hey, Jack, I have the notes, but I'd love to hear from you directly. What's got you on the call today? What can I do for you? And then where you start, I instantly know, are you pain oriented or are you goals oriented? Right. And I learned that people move either towards pleasure or away from pain. That's the only way people make decisions. I learned that I was 18 and I was coached by 2 of Tony Robbins' top coaches. And there was 10 of us in a room for 12 hours with these guys for 2 days straight. And they demonstrated this. They said, hey, if we had $1 million in cash and we put it on the other side of this glass door and we said, you can have the money free and clear, but you must run through the door head first with your arms at your side, like using your head through the door. Would you do it? And we're like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. Could die. Right. And like, exactly. Because typically you're more motivated to move away from pain than you are towards pleasure. But that's typically, that's not always. Like me, I don't have pain in my life. So if I got on a sales call with someone, they're trying to dig in on pain, dude, I don't have pain. Life is good. Right. Like everything is fine. So I'm a goals person. So if you can show me how I can double my business, I can make more revenue, I can have a bigger impact, I can help more people. Like those are all goals. But like, dude, I can keep making the money I'm making and live the rest of my life extraordinarily comfortable. Like life is good over here. So I'm not a pain person, but that's why I asked a more broad question to start, because it shows me the way that they think and process and view the world. Where if you're like, what's got you on the call? Dude, hate my job, blah, 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 pain. It's like, dude, I really just want to help more people. I love breath work. It's amazing. Goals.
And so how do you change the discovery if you're moving towards goal-oriented people?
Same thing.
On how they haven't been able to hit those goals, the pain of not hitting the goals kind of thing.
Exactly.
So it's not the pain of their life, it's the pain that, or the lack thereof them hitting their goals.
It's the pain of them not living to their full potential of what their life could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I might use things like, hey, Jack, I have this belief, man. I don't know about you, but I believe this for a long time. And I think that when we die, the person on that day, when we die, could be tomorrow, could be next week, could be 80 years from now. When we die, the person we are on that day will get to meet the person we could have become if we met our full potential. We lived life to the fullest. We helped the most amount of people. We took care of our body. We took care of our family. And my biggest fear in life is that those two people meet and they're unrecognizable human beings. They can't even recognize each other. So my goal is for those people to be identical twins, meaning I lived up to my fullest potential and I lived this life full out. So I don't know about you, but like that's what inspires me. Right. So you can say things like that to start like painting these visions of the more visual, goal-oriented people.
Yeah.
So then be like, yeah, no, you're right. Like I want to live to my fullest potential. Cool. I mean, do you not feel like you're living it right now with your job? I mean, you're making pretty good money. You said you're making 120. Are you happy with the 120? Yeah, it's not the money, man. I'm just not really helping people. I'm an accountant, right? And I did this Dr. Joe Dispenza event. I saw the power of breath work and I'm like, I'm so inspired and it changed my life and I want to help other people. Always take them down the journey of goals and what their life can look like.
Yeah. That's really beautiful, man. I really like that. And that's a beautiful way to look at life.
Yeah. And then let them go align their
Inspiring.
chakras and do a meditation and check Mercury in retrograde and then give me a credit card. Like interesting prospects for sure.
Beautiful. And so, if anybody else has a question, I'd like to let someone else go. If anybody else raise their hand, or I can keep shooting them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sweet. As far as pricing goes, we've been working with trying to, we've had a couple of different pricing structures as far as that goes, but I'll go ahead and just do my pitch real quick and then you tell me what I can fix up, how I can make it better.
Okay.
So in order to help you become a certified breathwork facilitator, sort of serving people at a deeper level, kind of insert their goal here, the entire training is only $7,000 total. And then if you do decide that you're going to dive in head first with us and you're going to fully commit yourself to this and you prepay for the training, we're going to give you $1,500 off. And that's going to bring the price down to $5,500. And then I shut up.
What do you mean by prepay the training? Now we're gonna role
Paid-
play this.
paid in
I'll be your,
full. Oh,
I'll be your prospect.
Oh, sure.
What
So
do you
that
mean
means
by
if you,
prepay?
that means if you do decide to pay for the training in full before the training begins.
What do most people do?
Most of our students who have succeeded with this training are those who have dove in head first and paid in full.
If I don't pay in full, what does that look like?
So if you do need a payment plan, we do have those accessible. I'm curious, what is it that you have that you're willing to invest today, Austin?
Maybe $1,000.
Great, brother. And so I'm curious, are you currently working towards saving towards anything? Or, I mean, is that $1,000 that's savings, or do you have, is that all you have?
I mean, that's all yeah, to spend on this program, I could probably spend 1,000.
Okay. And so in order to get into the training, brother, we do typically require $2,000 down to get started. And then we can work out a payment plan with you, make this as accessible as possible for you. So you're open to having a discussion about that and seeing how we can make this work by December 18th?
What do you mean by December 18th?
Well, this next training is going to come up December 18th. So we do have a month and a half between now and then. So we could likely get you into this upcoming training if this is important to you.
Okay, so here's some feedback if we break the role play. So you're doing a cohort model.
Yeah.
Because when you tell me December 18th, I'm like, oh shit, I got time. Yeah, dude, give me a couple weeks. Let me figure it out. But I'm not paying you today. I got 6 weeks. I got plenty of time to figure it out.
Yeah.
And you want to be paid today.
For sure.
Right. So we'll talk about that. I wouldn't say brother here. You want to be the authority. So it's like,
Okay.
I want to be like, hey, brother, like, here's what we're going to do. I just say my name. And then the price drop is a little confusing. So, and I posted a reel about this, like the price drop I would do, I love the beginning of it. Hey, to help you be a breathwork facilitator. Like that was all beautiful. Perfect. Insert goal. Great. I would just say it's 2 pay of this or 1 pay of that. Hey, it's either 2 payments at 3,500 or a one-time investment of just 5K. So we discounted a little bit if it's paid in full. Because that gives you so much flexibility. Because if they're like, hey, I want to do this, I want to do Jack, I'm in, I want to do it, that I just don't have 5K and I don't have 3,500, then you can
Then
always
we can go into it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can always just customize something for them. And then if you really want to close the deal, give them the paid in full discount, but don't make them pay in full.
Yeah, make them do a 2 pay and still give them that or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can be like, look, man, like,
Because they're a great fit.
yeah, hey, I assume like if you did this, you'd want to save the 2K. Is that a fair assumption? Like, yeah, for sure. I'd want to save the 2K. Okay, cool. Why don't we do this? This is going to be something that like, if I go to Ben and I go to the team and I ask for, they're going to say no. But I don't know. I'm a sales guy. I'll figure out how to sell this to the backend team after I do it. I'd much rather just ask for forgiveness than permission on this. But what if we give you the 5K paid in full, but we split that in half? We just do 2,500 today, 2,500 next month. So we're giving you the paid in full discount, even though you're not paying it in full. And I don't know, dude, I'll make it up for you. We'll call it a fast action discount or something. And I'll figure out how to deal with the optics after I do it. But if I was able to do that for you, you think you'd be able to get started right now?
Yeah, well, I'm just not really sure. I mean, what's like the minimum that you need today?
Well, I mean, if I'm going to give you the paid in full discount, we'd need to do 2,500 this month, 2,500 next month.
Okay, well, I mean, I just want to be really honest with you, man. I've literally only got $1,500, but I really want to do this. Like, and I've got a car that I'm going to sell. It's posted for sale right now. I'm going to sell it for $6,000. Got to pay off $3,000 on loan, so I'll have another 3K to put towards this. But I just don't have it right now. All I've got is $1,500.
How old are you again?
26.
26. And you're saying right now today you got like 1,500 in disposable income and like that's it for now.
Yeah, that's all I got.
That's tough. Have you always ran that tight on your finances?
Yeah, I've actually even got like credit card debt that I haven't paid off that I was going to put this $1,500 towards that, but I was gonna push that off to continue with this.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if you're 26 and you're running that tight on your finances, like, I mean, that's a problem. And you're saying the problem's been a problem for the past 26 years. It's always been like this. I mean, do you think that's what's kind of inspiring you and motivating you to do the breathwork facilitation so you can make some more money and fulfill your passions?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I just really want to help people. But I mean, yeah, creating an income for myself online, being anywhere in the world, like that's my dream.
Cool. I know you can't predict the future, but when do you think that car might sell?
I mean, I've had a couple hits on it, so like probably within the week, maybe, I mean, within the month for sure is the plan.
Okay. Like by the end of this month?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Why don't we do this? We'll do 1,500 today. And then we'll do 1,000 on the 1st of December. So that will put you at the 2,500. If we're going to do that though, can I ask for a favor?
Yeah, what's that?
So in the cohort, we're big on like collaboration and you being introduced to all these other people in the program so you can build lifelong friendships and community. Could you just do me a favor and not tell anyone I did this for you? Because the last thing I want to do is shoot myself in the foot by helping you out because I know you're a perfect fit and I really want to help you here. But I don't want to shoot myself in the foot and have a bunch of pissed off people coming back to me later once you're on the inside of the program.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Cool. I'm ready for the card number.
697.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. I love the slow. Like Robbie said, master of the slow pitch. Just taking your time.
Yeah. And it's like, because you have a cohort, like you have some flexibility. Who cares? 1,500 today, 1,000 on the first. Like it's the same thing as 2,500 a day. Cohort doesn't start for 6 weeks anyway.
Yeah.
And then as a sales rep, you also have more flexibility of saying things like, dude, I use that line all the time. I'm like, dude, look, if I'm going to do this for you, like we got to do it today. Because if I ask for permission on this, like the answer is going to be no. So I'd rather just
I
ask
like
for
that one a lot.
forgiveness,
Yeah.
rather ask for forgiveness rather than permission. I'm a sales guy. I'll figure out the optics and how to sell this to the back end team. I don't know. I'll tell them Jack's a great guy, perfect fit for the program, and I'll figure it out.
And that sounds like that's like the best urgency you could ever created ever. Better than another discount and a bonus call with Ben and a this and a that. And so curious if someone had responded to the 2Pay, if you told them, hey, it's 7K. If you do 2Pay, $3,500, or how did you say it exactly? I could write that down.
Yeah, it's either 2 payments of 3,500 or a one-time investment of just 5K.
Awesome. And so if you asked me that, and instead I said something like, oh man, well, I just have no idea. I had no idea it was this expensive. Like, that's crazy.
What do you mean it's crazy? What do you mean by that?
Like, well, I don't expect why all these breathwork facilitator trainings are so expensive. Like, don't they understand that people can't afford these things? Like, this is ridiculous.
When
I'm
you say,
barely
like,
getting by, but I just want to help people, man.
yeah. So why don't you just go help people? Why do you need to make an investment to help people? You can go help people right now. You can walk out of your door and go help people. Why aren't you doing it?
Well, I just need the knowledge, man. Like, I need to be able to become a facilitator so that I can share this with others.
Yeah, but how do you think all these other facilitators learn the knowledge? By doing the work, right? By building the business, by developing the skill for decades. So wouldn't you say it's fair that if somebody's going to put you on the game and teach it to you in a matter of months rather than decades and thousands of hours, like, don't you think it makes sense to pay to collapse that time?
Yeah, but I just can't pay, man. I just don't have the money. It's just, it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's tough, man. Like, you're saying on one hand, hey, I want to be a breathwork facilitator. I'm committed to doing it. I want to help people. But on the other hand, you're saying, hey, I'm not willing to get resourceful to figure it out in order to help people. So maybe you just don't want to help people bad enough through breathwork and facilitation.
Well, you know, like I've got the 3 kids, I've got the wife, like I've got to make sure that they're fed, they're taken care of. Like, you know, my rent's due in like, 6 days, and
Yeah,
all
but
the
who
money that I have
created-
right now.
Who created this life though? Who created this? Like, I didn't make you go have the kids, right? Like you got yourself here. So if you can get yourself here, I'm confident you can get yourself out of it. And I know that if you're willing to spend the money that you don't have to work with us, will change your life. But just because you're in a bad financial spot doesn't mean we can just like magically make the program free. Like Ben spent 15,000 hours over the past 5 years developing this stuff.
Like, what can you do? Like, is there any better options?
What do you have right now in terms of cash on hand?
Man, I don't have any money right now.
What do you have in terms of credit?
I mean, like my credit cards have a pretty high limit, but I've kind of pulled myself out of credit card debt a bit recently, so I'm trying not to go down that path. I've probably got like a $2,500 balance on my 10K limit, and so just trying not to, like, I don't want to put this on a credit card, man. Like, I'm already paying 25% interest on the $2,500, so.
Yeah. Have you typically been pretty on time with your credit cards?
Yeah, I mean, paying the minimums, but if you're paying the minimums, you end up paying 25% interest, and it's just like ridiculous, just like wasting money.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to give me the number, but is your credit score pretty good? Maybe like 750 or above?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to understand, Jack, that not all debt is bad debt. Right? If you go buy a house, an appreciating asset, like it's not a problem to take a mortgage, right? If you take a mortgage, it's an appreciating asset. It's not bad debt. You're just borrowing money for the bank so you can get a house for your family. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So you going into debt to become a breathwork facilitator, so you can do two things. A, fulfill your ambitions and your passions and do something that you actually love instead of your shitty accounting job. And B, make enough money to provide for your family. Like if you're on a call with me and you're telling me you don't have 5 or 7K to just drop to spend with a drop of a hat, like, dude, that's a problem. Like, we live in the most abundant country on planet Earth with the strongest economic times ever. And if you don't have that amount of money, that's a problem. And you becoming a breathwork facilitator can get you out of this problem forever. So if you have to take on a little bit of temporary debt to finally get what you want, I don't think that's a bad thing. So we're partnered with a financing company called The Firm. And a lot of times we'd have to run you through the system, but a lot of times they can get you 12 months, no interest. So we don't have to put on your credit card and do the 25%. We could do 12 months, no interest. So that would give you the paid in full price. So we do the 5K divided by 12, probably going to be like $415 a month, no interest. I mean, is that something you might be open to?
I mean, yeah, I've got like a spare $400 I could put towards this a month.
Okay, well, I mean, why don't we just fire up the application? They'll do a soft pull on your credit, so it's not going to affect your credit score, and at least see if we can get you approved. If we can, great, we can run with that. If not, we'll get creative and figure out another way. Like, dude, we got to get you the help you need. I know times are tough. I know you have 3 kids. I know you have the rent. I know you have all these things coming up. I'm with you, dude. I got you. But at the same time, we both know that you need to get the help. Do you want to just take a look at that application, see what we can do?
Yeah, I could take a look at it right now.
Oh, then I run them through a firm.
Nice, dude. That was good. Yeah, I like Cliff's question. At what point do you just say it's not worth it and end the call?
Intuition, really.
Based on the entire call. You can't, of course. Yeah, it's on the energy of the whole call.
Yeah, Cliff, I think when people kind of give up on themselves, right? Like I'll go to war for somebody, but dude, if I'm going to war, I want you to go to war with me.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I'm pulling out my gun and I'm shooting, like, dude, you got to be next to me shooting too. Like it's not a charity. Like we got to be a team here. So when somebody kind of gives up on themselves, I'll just stay overweight. No, I'll just stay at my accounting job. That's when I pull back. I'm like, okay, like, that's cool, man. Do that. I'm not gonna force you. And that's when I kind of pull back. But if they really want it, they're just in a tricky situation, then I'll keep going.
And so how do you get someone over that belief that, or maybe better way to phrase that question, what is the best question to ask to pull someone out of that belief of, hey, I'm just poor and I can't do it? How do you get them to become resourceful in that moment?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's where I'm like challenging them, like kind of how I challenged you.
Yeah.
Right, a little bit. And like I'm just being bold and honest. Like, dude, I didn't make you have the kids. Like, no, I'm just poor, man. Like I'm just down bad. Well, do you enjoy being poor and down bad, or do you maybe want to change it? like that self like deprecating vibes, like not for me.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to hold people accountable. Sometimes they like it. A lot of times they hate it, but either way, not really my problem. I'm going to tell them the truth and what they need to hear. Like, hey, do you think maybe those beliefs are why you're 32 years old, why you're $10,000 in debt, why you can barely pay your bills, why you're not happy and miserable, all the things you told me for the past 56 minutes? Do you think maybe those beliefs have gotten you here? And maybe if you want to go somewhere else, you need to change the beliefs, and that's what will help you get to where you want to go.
Really just that radical honesty, but also like I think I saw you talking about sitting next to them,
Yeah,
not
place of love.
not straight across from them.
Mhm.
Our offers like credit based for the most
Yeah.
part. Like they've got to have decent credit because we go through financing for them to fund the deal. Because most people don't have the cash to. Most people got 10K they can just drop because they'll want to use the capital for the business. But that's what's going on, and I'm just still learning the whole process. So
It's just deeper discovery, like figuring out their cash on hand, figuring out their credit, figuring out what they want, like why they want to get into Airbnb specifically, like what it can do for them to have that side hustle, that income, getting them bought in on it, like things like that. So if you're getting like, I need to think about it, it's like, okay, cool. Like, what are we thinking about specifically? Is it like the money thing? Is it like a time commitment thing? Is it you think we're going to take your money and move to Mexico and never talk to you again thing? Like, what are we, and you kind of laugh, like, what are we thinking about specifically? Because I need to think about it isn't an objection. It doesn't mean anything. Like, think about
yeah,
what.
it's
like,
bullshit. Is what it is.
Yeah, like, like it's not bullshit. It's just like, well, what are we thinking about? Is it time? Is it money? Is it you don't like me? Like, what are we thinking about specifically? Then once we have more information, then it becomes a lot easier for us to actually handle the real objection.
Okay. And I usually try and like isolate. I'm like still learning the handling. Like I ask, like aside from everything we've discussed, aside from just thinking about, is there anything else that would be holding you back from getting started? And I get that. And then like I always have trouble asking like, well, what do you want to think about? So are you saying just to kind of lead them a little bit, like what are you wanting to think about? Is it like just the money, the time, XYZ, blah blah blah, and get them to kind of open up onto what's on their mind?
Yeah. So here's what you say. Instead of what do you want to think about?
Mhm.
Hey, what are we thinking about? Hey, what are we thinking about specifically? Is it like a time commitment thing? Is it a money thing? Is it you think you're going to pay us and we're going to move to Mexico and never talk to you again thing? Like, what are we thinking about? It's like, what are we thinking about? Not what are you thinking about?
What are we thinking? That goes back to the collaborative effort of being on the same side of the table with them.
Exactly.
Versus if you're using the language of you, that's across the table.
Yeah.
I guess is probably the way to look at it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. And then advice for you, right? Because 5 years ago, I was a closer, a similar size company to what you're doing. By the third month, I was their number one closer. And then I doubled everybody's numbers for the next 2.5 years. So like a lot of these guys had been through all of these different coaching and facilitation, sales training programs. I had zero experience and I was doubling everybody's numbers. And people are like, well, how the fuck are you doing that? Like, like, who are you? Where did you come from? Why are you so good at this? And my secret was two things. So you can write this down and do it, and it'll help you tremendously. Number one is I was a student of the offer. I understood the offer at the highest level. The ins, the outs, I watched all the courses, I watched the coaching calls, I understood the offer, and I also understood the platform incredibly well. So we were teaching YouTube ads to entrepreneurs. I understood YouTube at the highest level. There was anybody could tell me about YouTube that I didn't already know. So I understood the offer and the platform, kind of the methodology, right? And then number two is I reviewed every sales call I could get my hands on, which was all of them. So anytime somebody posted a sale on the sales channel, hey, can you send me that call? I just Slack them directly. Hey, send me that call. Oh, it was a referral that don't care. Send it to me. Send it to me. Send it to me. Send it to me. I'd wake up every morning and I'd be taking a hot shower, listening to somebody's call on my phone. And what I did, the reason I listened to the call was because I wanted to make a list of two things. Things I liked, things I hated. I don't like that tonality. I don't like how they handled that objection. I don't like how he cut off the prospect over and over again. I really like this. I didn't know that about our offer. I didn't know that we could do that. I didn't know Google owned YouTube and you could target people based on where they shop and blah, blah. I learned so much from listening to the calls, the finesse, the tonality, the cadence. And I was just a student of these calls for 3 months straight. And then I stopped listening to everybody else, and everybody else started listening to me. But that's how I progressed so quickly.
Okay. Cool.
Does that make
Cool.
sense?
So yeah, that's helpful.
Something you had just said there kind of brought up a question to me. I'm curious, as far as your organization, I know you're probably closing all the deals right now. You're doing that. But when you have closers, and in the past, when you've been a closer, what are the kind of expectations that you would have of your closer if you were going to hire out your sales process? Like, what do they do versus what are they not responsible for, as far as maybe even training the setter?
If I had a closer who got paid to close deals, and that is the highest leverage money making activity, all I want that closer doing, take call, close call, take call, close call, onboard new client, keep it moving.
Yeah.
So when you're a part of a big organization, like I think you're either a small organization or you do
I'm
a
the
million.
only closer.
Yeah, but I think when you're like small, you're less than $1 million, you're big, you're $1 million a month plus. When you're part of a big organization, you have a head of sales and you have a head of closer, or a head of setters, like a head setter.
Mhm.
The head setter trains the setters, the head of sales trains the sales team, and then they kind of collaborate and do stuff together. But the closer's close, the setter's set, and then you have like a head person who's doing the facilitation and training, or
Yeah.
2 head people.
And I guess that's kind of where it's leading, that one day that will be my position. I would be the head of sales. So that's kind of why I'm taking on the extra responsibility there. And also curious, if you were going to pay us a closer in your business, what would be their closing commission percentage?
I mean, on my offer, 10% plus a bonus if they pay in full, plus a bonus at a certain cash collected rate. Maybe like
Yeah.
50K in new cash. I'll throw them an extra $500 or something like that to
Yeah.
incentivize them at the end of the month to push.
And I'm curious, so when you say that, you train the setters as well? No.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Got it.
I just got lucky that I was willing to be a dog and figure it out. But dude, I would have killed to have somebody come in and just hold my hand and review my calls at a high level and customize the process and give me something that's actually digestible for me. Like I would have made way more money. Right. That
Yeah.
485 would have been like 785. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
everything would have been
definitely.
better. So
In terms of like coaching offers for, let's say, things like rehab, because that's what I do. And obviously I'm not going to like post on my Instagram story, this is what my program costs, like right up front. Not a good idea. Where do you find that sweet spot of being real transparent with someone, possibly before the close even, or even potentially before the call, if they ask you very directly and you like can respect the directness of the way that they ask, you've been having a good conversation. Like, where do you find that sweet spot of, yeah, I'll give you a little bit more transparency back in return?
my rule of thumb, somebody asks me direct question, I give direct answer no matter what. Somebody DMs me how much your program costs, I just respond $11K send. Now my program is 9,800 when it's paid in full, right?
Yeah.
But like I don't need to get into all that shit in a DM, so I'm just like 11K send. Like that's it, no context. Like you ask me a direct question, I give you a direct answer. But dude, I've seen companies like this company we built to 550,000 a month. We just told people the program was 9K in the application. Like full transparency, if you want to work with us, it's 9K. Like you're booking a call knowing program's 9K. So like
Yeah.
I mean, I have a client right now, Q, she's doing like 30K a month, career coach, tells people in the application, hey, it's $5,400. So, you know, but there's subtle ways that you can soften the blow of finances, like in your investment. So like you can integrate a story, right? So it's like earlier we talked about like, oh, you know, I have this client went from 9K to 100K. If we're on a sales call and I thought that maybe finances were going to be tight, I might soften the price drop so it's not like a bomb went off when I give you the price. So I might be like, yeah, I mean, dude, this guy literally paid me 11K, took him from 9K to 100K in 30 days.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what you're going to pay me, but I'm kind of like showing you what's probably coming down the track.
Right.
And a lot of times you get to the end of the call and they're like, well, yeah, how much is it to work with you? Did you say it was like, what, 11K? And then I just do my normal price drop.
Yeah. I mean, I like the directness for sure. I've had pretty good success with that. As long as I'm in a serious conversation with the person to start with. And like if someone asks me directly, I'll respond directly anyways. A lot of times that's crickets if it's early and we've had no substantive discussion, right? but I've got the ones that have asked in the middle of a substantive discussion. Sometimes they come back to book a call later or something. I mean, they're checking everything out. I mean, I like that approach. I dig that. But yeah, I mean,
Or like
it's
during
good.
discovery, people will ask,
Yeah.
well, I mean, how much is it? Right? They get flustered. Like, how much is it?
Yeah.
And then you just tell them, yeah, it's 1750. Like, oh, dude, that's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Crazy expensive. Because you have no idea at this point in the call what you're buying for 1750. Right? Hey, Robbie, let me ask you a question. If I said, would you like to buy this $1 Amazon pen for 1750 today? You tell me no. You tell me to kick rocks. But if I said, hey, Robbie, I have a brand new McLaren in the garage that is picked up for 170K. I'll sell it to you today for 1750. Would you do it? Of course you would. It's still the same 1750. The only thing that changed was it was attached to a pen versus a McLaren. And when value exceeds cost, people buy. That's just human psychology and how we make buying decisions. Right now, you don't know anything about my program. So of course you shouldn't buy it. Of course it's expensive. But if you give me a couple minutes to ask you a few more questions to make sure this is even a good fit, right? I want to make sure I can help you. And then you give me a few minutes to walk you through the program. I promise you at the end of this call, you'll be running to grab your credit card, begging me to take your money.
Makes sense.
I'll just tell somebody that straight up. And they're like, damn, like, because I say that with confidence.
Yeah.
And then they're like, damn, like, what does this program include? Like, do I get a McLaren with the program? Like, what comes with the program? Like, now I want to know, right? Now I've piqued their interest enough where they're like, damn, I want to hear more.
Yeah. I feel like your content and your ads really backs that up too, because you have that really consistent direct approach. Like, I think if we've all consumed your content and we don't know you and we hop on this webinar, whatever the hell we're calling it tonight, like, we already know what we're getting. So I think that does a really good job of backing it up.
Yeah, I'm fairly consistent because this is how I operate in my day-to-day life too. It's not just a sales like thing, like this is just how I act and how I am. And I get it, right? If you have like a more like feminine energy or like softer approach, but like, dude, there's a time to be feminine, there's a time to be masculine. But what I teach my clients and the people in my program, it's like there has to be a delicate balance of masculinity and femininity. Like that's where I'm making jokes, right? It's like, hey, do you think I'm going to move to Mexico and never talk to you again? And I kind of laugh and smile, and then they laugh and smile, and they realize I also have a personality, and I'm not just some dickhead on a call that's like wildly masculine the entire time, right? So I'm giving hints of my personality because like I am silly and funny and like to have fun. Like I'm not just like rigid robot walking around. Like I have the most fun in my life. You know what I mean? Like I fuck off all the time. But obviously, people in a sales conversation need to respect you. They don't necessarily need to like you, but they do need to respect you. And if you can weave in a little bit of flair and personality into that respect, it's a home run.
Yep.
So I've seen really good sales guys that are really, really dry every call all the time with every prospect. And they're just like so dry. And it's like I would review their calls. I'm like, dude, this is pain. Like this prospect's got to be miserable. They might buy, but damn, they're miserable. My prospects are always having fun and they're like, man, this feels good. Like I've aligned their head logically and their heart emotionally. They feel attached. They feel good about it. And that's why my refund rate when I was a closer was always damn near 0% because people were buying rather than me having to sell. It's a big difference between those two things.